My history with role-playing games goes as far back as 8 years old when I was playing Dungeons and Dragons with my brother, so it's only natural that I would gravitate towards this style of game when I started playing video games. And I did play all through Baldurs Gate, but I decided that this time around I wanted to challenge myself, as I am trying to do through this Explore Games, and so I decided to play as an evil character. Well, I didn't realize exactly how much people were not going to like me so much, and in fact try to kill me. They already try to kill you through the main storyline, but this is a bit excessive. But it's certainly interesting. I got to actually create an interesting party with some new characters that I hadn't used before, which is pretty cool. But speaking of playing as good or evil, one of the things that we talked about in the intro and when I actually did the highlights for Baldur's Gate is alignment. Alignment is one of the tools that is used in your kind of character kit to help you to role play your character. This tends to govern what actions you might take, whether you're willing to sacrifice people, that kind of thing, but also the dialogue that you might choose with some of the NPCs in the game as well. Part of the other parts of the kit, I guess, would be your class. So I decided to go with a caster this time. I often do because I really like playing a caster. I do like playing ranged characters, but you have your class, you have your race, you have attributes, skills, spells. All of those things add up to a lot of choices which mold the character that you're going to play. So that's really embodies the core elements of RPG for me. And this particular one is turn-based. With no aiming requirement, which is good for people like me who do have a bit of trouble with that. I'm still working on being better. And I had actually totally forgotten how much resurrection cost, and so I actually sacrificed characters that I might not have otherwise, because I realized after the fact that it was actually pretty cheap. Exploration is huge in this game, and if you enjoy that, then there's certainly a lot of satisfaction to be gained by discovering maps and random encounters. Leveling is actually really slow in this game. It is more akin to actually playing a paper and dice role-playing game, since it is based on D&D. So if you're used to more current games, then this may be a little bit slow for you. I do find though that there's a lot of like out of combat stuff, and for me that's a big part of role-playing games. So being able to like talk to people, being able to like gather information, being able to explore. I really liked being able to steal. I hadn't really explored that a whole lot the first time that I played through it, so it was pretty cool to be able to like utilize the thief a little bit more and be able to go into the inns and like steal from people and steal from chests and stuff like that. I amassed a lot of books that way. For me, at the very core of role-playing games is choice. Really, in order to be able to feel like you're playing a character and not just having a story regurgitated in your general direction, you have to have choices. And Skyrim has highly customizable character appearance. It has customization of playstyle from melee combat to spellcasting and thievery. Skill trees allowing you to really hone what skills you enjoy most. There's just a metric ton of customization that happens, and there's a ton of quests and a lot of out-of-combat actions and interactions, which again, as I mentioned before, is I think a big part of role-playing. It really makes you feel like you're not just going from like combat to combat, but actually playing a character that exists within a world outside of combat as well. And so you get to do things like gathering and trade skills like cooking and crafting. You have followers, there's guilds, there's relationships, there's housing. I love I think one of the things I really love most, though, about the actual combat, though, aside from all of the customization that happens, is the slow-mo finish moves. I mean, it's just so epic. That's pretty fun, and that's, specific to Skyrim itself. I kind of love and hate the skill trees, though. I feel like they look really nice, and conceptually and visually, I get that, but the navigation for me is a bit much. I feel like they could have somehow made that seem a little bit simpler and easier to navigate. But maybe that's just what I have become accustomed to in other games. But again, conceptually and visually, it looks very nice. And the skills themselves are pretty good. The addition of spells that you get as well, like scrolls, to increase your spell is pretty interesting and makes for even more dynamic play. And I had a horse, which is pretty damn awesome. And I fought dragons, which is come on, how more epic can you get than that? So I can certainly see the appeal of Skyrim. It is such a hugely popular game that many people have sunk hours and hours and hours into. And having gone back to actually play it, I can certainly understand that. Keria Chronicles ended up being more story/strategy than I expected. I was expecting at least some more elements of a traditional JRPG, but it was definitely something I'd never played before. I do actually love that crouch and attack playstyle, and having the variety of characters and abilities to manage was interesting. It's easy to see where you can improve and progress because there are so many elements that you're managing. I love the interface with the book and episodes. As a fan of anime, I enjoyed the little movies in between the combat phases. While you manage your team and strategies, there's no real choice around the character and story. Progress might as well be automatic, where you're just essentially sliding a bar to level up. So it definitely didn't hit the mark for RPG for me, but it was definitely a really enjoyable and interesting game, and definitely pushed me into an element that I had not really explored before. I gotta say though, my favorite element is probably sniping. I do love me some sniping. Here are some more games that you can check out for some more RPG fun. If you want to check out some more JRPG, especially since the one that I highlighted was more strategy than traditional JRPG, then you can certainly check out the Final Fantasy. Right here I've listed Final Fantasy VII, but there's certainly a whole host of Final Fantasy games, and you can certainly check out some gameplay online of that to see if it's something that you might be interested in. You could check out Pillars of Eternity, which is a brand new release, and it is a successor to Baldurs Gate. It's in that same style of game, but it is newer, so it's a little bit updated. You could certainly play The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which is an open RPG and is more like Skyrim in that sense. So if that's something you're interested in and want something that's like an updated graphics, it has a pretty rich storyline to follow through as well. So you might enjoy that. And last here I have is Dragon Age Inquisition, which is also a newer title in the open world RPG theme. So in that one you can, in Witcher 3 you're actually playing a specific character, while in Dragon Age you can actually customize your character appearance and have influence from that perspective. But it is an open world RPG. And I thought I would also include here some YouTube playlists, as I have been doing. The first one that I wanted to put up was actually 4 Pillars of Eternity, and that is Adam Koebel's playthrough of Pillars of Eternity. I like his playthrough because where he has a background in paper and dice role-playing games, where he developed Dungeon World and plays a lot of RPGs, he kind of explains a lot of the things that are happening and the mechanics that are being used in a really nice way. So if you're wanting to kind of have a better understanding of that, then his playthroughs are really good for that. The other YouTube playlist that I have is for Xenoblade Chronicles by Chuggaaconroy, and this is something that my husband and I started to watch a little bit of because we have a recent obsession with Xenoblade Chronicles and are close to getting our hands on one. It's actually really hard to get your hands on one, and it is fairly expensive because it wasn't released here, and it's actually a really fantastic JRPG title. So this is a really huge playlist at 117 videos, so that will certainly suck up a lot of time if you decide to watch all of it. But it's a really interesting one to watch because it's not necessarily something that would be redundant because you're going to play it yourself. It's something that, you know, would be interesting to watch somebody else play. It's got some great story to it and some, you know, great combat and mechanics, so it might be something that you might enjoy checking out. I hope that you warm yourself by the hearth, grab a mug of ale, and get into character, because RPGs are fantastic. I hope that you enjoyed this brief look at some of the games that I played for the RPG genre, and what other games might be out there for you. As always, I encourage you to go and check some of those out on YouTube, on streams, on Steam, whatever might help to inform whether that is a game that you might enjoy. And remember to like and share if you enjoyed this video, and you can check out more videos like this in the playlist listed above. And thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a game soon.